My dear students of geology, today we'll discuss about the question paper that has been set in Common PG Entrance Test 2024 in order to select the students subject-wise for admission into PG seats in all government colleges, universities of Odisha state. Now, we will go to the questions and find their solutions. The first question in geology, that is, I'm going to read out. The boundary between the outer crust and the inner crust is called. The answers are Conrad discontinuity, Gutenberg discontinuity, Mohr-Biscuit discontinuity, and Bullen discontinuity. The correct answer is Conrad discontinuity, because you all know that our earth is having some first order breaks or discontinuities and some second order discontinuities. First order discontinuities are found to be present universally. If you say this is the earth, we have three layers: crust, mantle, and core. So in between crust and mantle, we have one discontinuity that is called Mohr-Biscuit discontinuity, and another discontinuity that is between mantle and core, which is called as Gutenberg discontinuity. These two discontinuities are of first order, but within the crust we have the Sialic crust, we have the Sima representing lower crust. In between them we have this Conrad discontinuity, and it is separating the granitic rocks from that of the basaltic rocks. So the correct answer will be the Conrad discontinuity. Now we will switch over to the next question, number 2. The question is, the process of movement of sedimentary particles by alternate jumping and falling on the bottom surface is known as. The correct answer will be saltation, because saltation involves jumping of rock particles through movement during transport, and this jumping takes place in a series like this. So the correct answer will be saltation. What is traction? Traction involves simply rolling of the rock particles on the river valley floor. Suspension, movement of particles in suspension. Deflation, it is a case of wind transport. So correct answer will be saltation. Now let us come to question number 3. Very large rock fragments transported and deposited by glaciers having composition quite different from that of the underlying bedrock is known as. It will be erratics, because we know that glaciers, they transport the rock fragments at their bottom, and these bodies are being deposited either in form of moraines or in craters or in camps. But when you talk about the erratics, it is a case of transported rock particles by the glacier for a long distance, and it is deposited at a place where the base rock is having some other composition, and this transported boulder is having some other composition, so that genetically these two are not related. But when you talk about moraine, it may involve the rock particles that may have same composition as that of the bedrock, which may due to the fact that the transportation has been over a limited distance. So in case of erratics, the rock particle has been removed by the glacier from its source and has been transported to a long distance along with the glacier and has been subjected to deposition in a place where the bedrock is having totally a different composition from that of the boulder, that is erratics, that has been transported by the glacier. So correct answer will be erratics. The most quiet, now let us come to the next question. The most quiet form of lava eruption is called, it will be Hawaiian type, because we have different types of lava eruption, and this is the most mild type, and according to their mode of eruption and their violence, these other types are involved. Now let us come to the question number 5. Fine silt-sized particles carried by wind are accumulated to form, it will be loess, because dune involves sand particles, bentifacts, erosional feature, Zeugen, it is erosional feature, dune is a depositional feature made up of sands. But this is loess, very fine particles of sand which has been transported long distance from the arid land, from the deserts, and are deposited at very long distance away from the source, and these are made up of very fine particles or dust particles, you can say, and this is called as loess. Now we will discuss the question number 6. In which of the following stages of river oxbow lakes are not formed? We know the stages of river are the initial stage or youthful stage, initial or youthful, then matured, then old. So oxbow lake is generally seen in the matured stage, because it is a feature which is found in the plains. So it cannot be expected in the initial stage. That's why the correct answer will be youthful stage, because it is not formed. That's why it will be in youthful stage. These old stage, mature stage or lower valley, these may contain. That's why the correct answer will be youthful stage. Now let us come to the next question. The region of the sea floor extending from the low tide mark up to the depth of 200 meters with a very low slope is called. If we analyze the sea bottom from the shoreline, we have the continental shelf, continental slope, and abyssal plain. So this depth is around 200 meters, which is your continental shelf. So correct answer will be continental shelf. After that we have the slope, which will be up around 2000 meters. So up to 200 meters we will have the low sloping shelf, that is continental shelf. So abyssal plain more than 4000 meters, continentalize in after continental slope, slope goes to a depth of 2000 meters. So correct answer will be continental shelf. Now let us come to question number 8. Which of the following minerals exhibits pearly luster or pearl-like luster? We know diamond shows adamant. Now the question number 8. Which of the following minerals exhibits polyluster? We know diamond shows adamantine luster. Quartz shows vitreous luster. Apatite is not that bright, but biotite, because of its cleavage, it shows, because of its basal cleavage, it shows very shining luster, and it is called polyluster. So biotite shows polyluster. This is the correct answer. Now let us switch over to the next question. The zones of large negative gravity anomaly with seismic and volcanic activity is found in the region of. Negative gravity anomaly means there will be absence of mass. It generally we find negative gravity anomaly at the oceanic trench areas. But mid-oceanic ridge areas are the sites where magma is found to be upward. So a land feature or a hill-like mass is being produced at the junction of two plates. That gives rise to mid-oceanic ridge. So it cannot be a negative gravity anomaly. Similarly, Craton, a stable structure. Geosyncline, a basin, large basin. But when you talk about negative gravity anomaly along with seismic activity, volcanic activity, that will be common near the trench, because the one plate is going below the other. The oceanic plate, generally oceanic plate, is going below the continental plate, because of which we find the formation of island arcs at this zone. Near the trench we find the formation of island arcs. So island arc is the site of seismic activity, volcanic activity, and negative anomaly involving the trench. So the zone near island arc is noted for all these features: volcanic activity, seismic activity, negative gravity anomaly. So correct answer will be island arcs. In stereographic projection, the face with symbol 001 is plotted in the center, because we all know, let us say, this is a cube. So this face will be 001, touching the c-axis or the vertical axis. Three axes are there. And when we talk about any stereo projection, first we have to imagine the spherical projection, in which the crystal will occur, so that the sphere center will coincide with the crystal center. And what we do in spherical projection? We draw perpendiculars from the center of the crystal to the faces and extend them to touch the sphere. So at any point we will see that this perpendicular touch this surface of the sphere. So that point is called the spherical projection of the concerned face. But when we talk about the spherical projection, we imagine a plane at the equator of the sphere, and we join these points which occur on the upper part of the sphere to the southernmost point. And the point at which this line pierces the equatorial plane will be the stereographic projection of the concerned face. So in cube, this face is 001, and this face will touch the sphere at this point, and if we join it to the southernmost point, it will pass through the equilateral plane at the center. That's why this face will be represented at the center. Next question is, which one of the following is the streak of chalcopyrite? We know streak color and the color of the mineral, they are two different things. Streak represents the color of the mineral powder. Mineral powder is found in a disaggregated form. So this loose matter, disaggregated form, powdered form, will not behave in the same manner as that of a solid mineral. So the color of a solid mineral may be different from that of its powder. And here, in case of chalcopyrite, whose color is golden yellow, but its streak will be greenish black. And we obtain the streak by rubbing the mineral over the streak plate. We have a porcelain plate, streak plate, white in color. So over it we rub the mineral, and the powder that is produced by rubbing may show a color which may be equal to that of the mineral, or it may be different from that of the mineral. But in case of chalcopyrite, the color is golden yellow, but its streak color is greenish black. Which out of the following is the silicate structure of mica? Mica is a phyllosilicate, because you know that the silicates, they occur in different types of structures, such as nesosilicate, sorosilicate, ionosilicate, then phyllosilicate, then tetrasilicate or cyclosilicate. So these are the different types of silicates. But in case of nesosilicate, it is the SiO4 tetrahedra occur independently. In tetrasilicate, each SiO4 tetrahedra is linked to other 4 SiO4 tetrahedra, so that the composition becomes SiO2. Silicon instruction SiO becomes SiO 1:2. In ionosilicate, one SiO4 tetrahedron joins with another tetrahedron by sharing 2 of its oxygens. So in case of phyllosilicate, each SiO4 tetrahedron shares 3 of its oxygens with the neighboring tetrahedra, so that a sheet-like structure is being produced. Sheet-like structure is being produced. That's why it is called phyllosilicate. Next question: out of the following, which is the cleavage angle of pyroxenes? We know pyroxenes provide 2 sets of cleavage near that right angle. So correct answer will be 87 degree, 93 degree. And this is the angle for in case of amphiboles. These are not related to any group. So this is for pyroxenes, this is for amphiboles. In pyroxenes, so near that, the 2 sets of cleavage near that right angles. Which mineral out of the following does not have cleavage? We have agate, 2 sets of cleavage; hornblende, 2 sets of cleavage; whiteite, 1 set of cleavage, 1 set of basal cleavage. And garnets, they do not show any cleavage. So let us come to next question. MgFeSiO3 is a chemical composition of SiO3. It belongs to ironosilicate, and MgFe bearing ironosilicate will be the pyroxene groups. So if you take into enstatite is Mg MgSiO3. This is 4 to 6, so 2, 4, 3, 6. So it will be Mg. Some amount of Mg can be replaced by iron because the ionic size and charge of Mg is same to that of iron, and we know that replacement of ions is possible if the ions they have the same charge or they have the same ionic size and they have nearly same charge or charge do not vary more than unity. In that case, replacement is possible. So some amount of magnesium is found to be replaced by iron, and generally when it is more than 15%, it becomes iron rich, and the member is the orthopyroxene, it is hyposthene. So correct answer will be hyposthene. Although it is a clinopyroxene, it is not entirely MgFe bearing. Diapside CMg bearing. So correct answer will be hyposthene. Which mineral out of the following is crystallized in orthorhombic system? Orthorhombic, so all these are the minerals of amphibole group. We have in amphiboles, we have orthorhombic amphiboles, we have monoclinic amphiboles, we have triclinic amphiboles. In orthorhombic amphiboles, we have anthophyllite and zedrite. So correct answer will be anthophyllite, because this is monoclinic. This is monoclinic. Which mineral out of the following is polymorphous of quartz? Quartz exists in different forms based upon its temperature. Quartz changes to tridymite and cristobalite based upon increasing temperature. So quartz composition is represented by only this mineral. These are not having SiO2 composition. This is not SiO2 composition. This is not SiO2 composition. This is KAlSi3O8. So tridymite is the correct answer. Chemical composition of aragonite, it will be calcium carbonate. Of which of the following is lithophile? Lithophile means it must occur in lithosphere. In lithosphere, we have the common element is silicon and oxygen. So this is in atmosphere. This is a metal. So in lithosphere, the most common element is silicon. Next, in meteorites, which of the following contains 50% metal and 50% silicate? We know meteorites occur in form of sideroids, in form of siderolites, in form of aerolites, in form of tektites. Tektites is silica glass. Aerolites, it is silicates. Sideroids, iron meteorite. So the correct answer will be siderolites, because it contains 50% iron and 50% silicates. The next question is, the inverted bowl-shaped igneous rock with flat lower surface and domal upper surface like this. This is a intrusive feature. which is produced by accumulation of magma in this form, convex upward with flat base. This is called laccolith. Laccolith, intrusive feature, mostly represented by the acidic lava. We have two types of acidic magma. We have two types of magma, acidic and basic. Acidic magma are viscous and they cannot flow easily. But basic magma is water-like. It can flow to a long distance. It will give rise to plateaus, formation of plateaus. But acidic lava, it cannot intrude or it cannot flow. It will make room for itself by lifting the upper layer. So, it accumulates with flat base and convex top because it is viscous. That's why correct answer will be laccolith. Dike is represented by basic lavas. Lapolith by basic. Phacolith by we can say it will be basic in nature because the folded layers, these crasts are being filled by the magmatic matter. If it will be basic in nature, it can accumulate. It can accumulate easily because it will pass through the bedding planes. It will pass through the bedding planes of the folds. So these portions, these sides, at the sides where we see accumulation of phacoliths. So laccolith will be the correct answer with flat base and domal top. Now next question is the igneous texture where large pyroxene grains completely enclose small sized plagioclase laths is called. The correct answer will be ophitic because we know the texture speaks about a grain to grain relationship, how the grains are related to each other. If all the grains are of same size, it is equigranular texture. All the grains are of unequal size, inequigranular texture. And this is a type of inequigranular texture where we have large pyroxene grains which will enclose plagioclase laths because plagioclase occurs in form of laths. So it encloses completely the plagioclase. These are the plagioclases. This is pyroxene. So pyroxene is host, and within it we have the plagioclases. The texture is called ophitic texture. It is one kind of inequigranular texture. Porphyritic, a large grain surrounded by smaller grains. And this is ophitic, it is a type of poikilotic texture. What is poikilotic texture? A large grain will contain numerous small grains. This is poikilotic texture. So ophitic texture is a type of poikilotic texture. And pyridine texture, it speaks about the texture in which all the grains are of euhedral shape. In allotropomorphic texture, we have all the grains which are totally angular or which the grains do not have the complete development of faces. Mostly towards the latter phase of magmatic cooling, we find there is a room problem for the complete formation of grains, and in that condition mostly the anhedral grains are being produced and allotropic texture develops. So correct answer of this question is ophitic. Which mineral out of the following crystallized first in the discontinuous reaction series of basaltic magma? If you see that the basaltic magma, how it undergoes cooling and consolidation, there is a series of minerals given by Bowen, which is mostly called as Bowen's reaction series. It has two series. One is discontinuous series, the other is continuous series, and third is a series of no reaction. So this is series of no reaction, this is series of continuous series, this is discontinuous series. On continuous series we have the plagioclases, and on discontinuous side we have olivines, followed by pyrogens, followed by amphibole, followed by mica. So the first in the discontinuous side will be olivine. This is on continuous side, this is next to olivine, this is at the junction zone of the two series. So olivine is the correct answer. In case of monomineralic igneous rocks containing only calcite, as essential mineral is called. We know that there are certain rocks which are mostly dominated by one mineral. For example, quartzite, dominated by quartz. Similarly, marble. Marble is dominated by calcite. It is a metamorphic rock represented by calcite only. Anorthite, monomineralic rock represented by plagioclases. Carbonatite, carbonate rocks, carbonate minerals. Pyrrhotite, olivine, pyrogen. So, marble is the correct answer. Now we will go to the next question. Which rock out of the following has labradorite and augite as the essential minerals? We know the naming of a igneous rock is based on the presence of essential minerals. So here we have got labradorite and augite as two essential minerals. These are the essential minerals of basic igneous rocks. We know that basic igneous rocks are gabbro, dolerite, basalt, norite. These are called the basic igneous rocks. But here we have augite and labradorite. Labradorite is the plagioclase, calcic plagioclase, and augite is the clinopyroxene. So clinopyroxene plus plagioclase, clinopyroxene plus plagioclase, it is gabbro. If it is orthopyroxene plus plagioclase, then it is norite. So correct answer will be gabbro, because these two essential minerals represent basic igneous rocks. So diorite is not, diorite is an intermediate rock, cyanide acid, and norite is basic, but it is not containing clinopyroxene. So correct answer will be gabbro. Next question. Which one of the following is the size grade of pebble? Pebble size. We have the size terms such as boulder, cobble, pebble, then gravel, then sand, silt clay. So boulder ranges its size more than grain diameter more than 256 mm. Cobble from 64 to 256 mm. pebble 4 to 64. So correct answer will be 4 to 64 mm. The sandstone containing more than 95% of quartz is known as quartz arenite. Arkos is a sandstone, but it is represented by more feldspars rich. Graywacke is rock fragment rich sandstone. Subarcos, like Arkos, it is subarcos. So 95% rich in quartz is quartz arenite. Which out of the following is the specific gravity of heavy minerals? It will be 2.87. Above 2.87, the minerals are classified as heavy. So specific gravity of a mineral having value more than 2.87 is described as a heavy mineral. Now next question. The medium grade metamorphism takes place at temperature varying from. We know temperature is the main factor in metamorphism in addition to pressure. But temperature ranges from 200 to 400 degrees centigrade, it is low grade metamorphism. 400 to 600, it is a medium grade metamorphism. 600 to 800 degrees centigrade, it is high grade metamorphism. So, as it is a case of medium grade metamorphism, temperature range must be from 400 to 600 degrees centigrade. This is the correct answer. In equivalent texture of metamorphic rocks, where the minerals are subhedral, is known as. If it is a igneous rock, we say subhedral rich grains or subhedral grains. The texture is described as epidomorphic. So the same thing when we talk about any metamorphic rock, equigranular subhedral grains, then the texture is said to be epidioblastic, because the grains are subhedral. Corresponding igneous texture is epidiomorphic, but corresponding metamorphic texture is epidioblastic. In case of epidioblastic, the grains are euhedral. Corresponding igneous texture is panidiomorphic. If grains are euhedral, it is idioblastic. If a large grain surrounded by smaller grains, that is called porphyry texture in case of igneous rocks, and same thing in case of metamorphic rock is described as porphyroblastic. And in case of genoblastic, the grains are found to be boundary or they do not show any perfect boundary. Their boundary is irregular, like the genoliths. Genoliths show irregular boundary because of their reaction with the magma. So, genoblastic texture is representative of those grains which show irregular boundary, do not show any kind of perfect shape and size of grains, so that the grain can be called as euhedral or subhedral. So here the grains are mostly anhedral. So because here the grains are subhedral and equivalent texture, so the metamorphic rock will be said to possess hepidoblastic texture. So that is the correct answer. Which metaphor out of the following contains omphacite and garnet? Omphacite and garnet, it is found in euclogite. Charnocite is quartz, feldspar, hyposthene. Chondrolite is quartz, feldspar, garnet, sillimanite. Carb granulite is calcareous granulites. So here the correct answer will be euclogite, which is rich in omphacite and garnet. Next question. To which of the fossil groups Productus belongs? Productus is a brachiopod. So it belongs to brachiopod group. The dentition in pelecypods with 2 or 3 strong equal sized teeth. So equal means it is isodont. Taxodont, in case of taxodont we have numerous small teeth. Numerous. As here the case is 2 to 3 and equal size, it will be isodont. The earliest ancestors of horse, which is approximately 12 inch high, is named as, because these are the earliest ancestors. We know that the evolution of horse started from Eohippus. So they represent the earliest ancestors of horse. So Eohippus is the correct answer. Which one of the following suture lines in cephalopods has sharply fluted saddles and lobes? We know these ups and downs, like that of a fold. Convex upward is described as saddle. Concave upward is known as lobe. This is the saddle and lobe structure representing suture, which is the simplest suture, and it is nautility type. And in case of sharply fluted saddles, here we have the saddles and lobes, they are found to be irregular, like this. So this is ammonoid type. So ammonoid type is the correct answer. Sharply fluted saddles and lobes. If the coiling in gastropod cell are planispiral with all the holes lying in one plane, the coiling is known as discoidal. Disc shaped. So discoidal. Because in conical, we cannot have all the holes in one plane. In turbinate, turreted, these are elongated features. So we cannot expect that all holes will come in one plane. So discoidal will be the correct answer. Which one of the following is the largest time unit? Era is the largest time unit. Which one of the following is the youngest formation of the assembly group? Rotage formation represent the youngest formation of assembly group. In which supergroup or group lies above peninsular niche? We have the Dharuar supergroup, which lies over peninsular niche. To which of the following formations of Jurassic of Kutch the macrocephalous birds belong? In Jurassic we have Umia, Cuttrell, Chari and Pacham formations. So this macrocephalous bird is contained in Chari formation. Now next question. The true direction of a bird is north 60 degree west. We know dip and strike, they are mutually perpendicular. If it is strike, dip will be perpendicular to it. Now, dip direction has been shown. This is north, 60 west. So, to it, 90 degree will be the strike direction. So, north 60 west, this is the direction, north 60 west. So, this will be the strike. So, this is 60, this is 30. So, this will be north 30, east, south 30, west. This is the strike direction. So, this one the correct answer. North 30 east, south 30 west. A fold which is convex upward with older beds lying in the core is known as, it is anticline. Convex upward with older rocks at the center and younger rocks at the periphery. They are called as anticlines. If this edge relation will not be known, it will be simply described as antiform. In case of chevron fold, we have sharp crests. In case of syncline, we have younger rocks at the core. In case of box fold, we have box-like pattern where two hinges. In each fold, we have two hinges. So, when we talk about the older rocks at the core, convex upward structure, it is anticline. Which of the following is a fold with two limbs mutually parallel to each other and generally exhibit the same amount and same direction of dip? This is isoclinal. Iso means same, cline means inclined. Same inclined limb. Same inclined limb. The dip amount is same. Dip direction is same direction. Dip direction. Dip amount same. Dip amount same. Dip direction same. So, this is isoclinal fold. The structure which is produced by uplift of a block bounded on both sides by two gravity folds dipping away from each other is known as, this is structure. This is host. This is graben. Host and graben structure or rift valleys. So, the uplifted portion is host and these are the normal faults. So, host is bounded by normal faults on both sides. So, host is correct answer. When the mineral deposits are concentrated as layers or bands within the parent magmatic body, it is known as. We know that magmatic concentration process is one of the important process of mineral concentration. In magmatic concentration, we have magmatic segregation, we have magmatic injection, we have magmatic dissemination. So, as it is layered, banded, so there is accumulation of the minerals in magmatic body. It is only possible through segregation. So, segregation is the correct answer. Dissemination means here and there, sporadically the mineral grains are distributed within the magmatic body. Saddle lip, we have convex, these are the saddle lips. Fissure vein, this is a case of hydrothermal deposit, fissure vein. So, correct answer will be segregation. PbSO4 is a chemical composition of anglesite. There is galvanized PbS, cerussite is PbCO3, smithsonite, zinc carbonate. So, PbSO4 is the composition of anglesite. Which out of the following is famous for kyanite? Kyanite famous place is Lapsaburu. Lapsaburu kyanite. Koderma, mica. Polyphenthula, asbestos. Salem, magnesite. So Lapsaburu, kyanite. Koderma, mica. Polyphenthula, asbestos. Salem, magnesite. So gonditic type of manganese deposits of Orissa are associated with Eastern Hard group of rocks. In iron group of rocks, manganese are also associated, but that is not of gonditic type. So gonditic type is associated with Eastern Hard group of rocks. The permissible limit of pH for water for drinking purpose as per Bureau of Indian Standards is 6.5 to 8.5, because the middle point is 7. 1 to 7, 7 to 14. Neutral. Neither acidic nor basic. So, both sides 6.5, 8.5. So, this is the range which is the permissible limit for drinking water. Which out of the following is the most adverse condition at dam site? If it is a dam, so on this side reservoir, the very purpose of the reservoir is to contain water. So the reservoir should be watertight. But if the beds deep downstream at low angles, the water of the reservoir will pass through the bedding planes to the downstream below the dam. So this will lead to failure of the reservoir project and also failure of the dam. So this is not a suitable condition. This is most adverse condition. This is suitable. This may be suitable. This may be suitable, but this is adverse. At what depth from the surface the Gutenberg Wichardt discontinuity occurs? It is at mantle core boundary at a depth of 2900 kilometers. The seismic waves, S waves, are not transmitted through outer core. This means outer core is behaving like a liquid, because we know S waves pass through solids only. P waves pass through solid and liquid. So as we do not find that S wave is transmitting through outer core, that means outer core is in liquid condition. That's why S wave is not passing. It will allow only P waves. So the outer core is in liquid condition, which prevents the passage of S waves. Which one of the following is not produced due to wind erosion? Pedestal rock, it is wind feature. Zeugen, wind feature. Erdang's, wind feature. Bortzen is a deposition feature. It's a deposition feature, crescent shaft. This is the wind direction, the crescent shaft. So Bortzens is not produced by wind erosion. It is a deposition feature. Which one of the following is the general symbol of hex octahedron? Hex octahedron is a form of cubic system or isometric system. We have cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, trapezohedron, tetrahexahedron, trisoctahedron, then hexoctahedron, which are the common forms of normal class of isometric system. So this hexahedron form is represented by 48 faces, maximum faces possible, 48 faces, and each face is a scalene triangle, and each face cuts all the three axes at unequal distances. That's why the symbol is HKL. So correct answer will be HKL. Which mineral out of the following has chemical composition Al2SiO5? We have Al2O3, SiO2. This is the composition of aluminous silicates. This is kyanite. Kyanite is aluminous silicate. This is amphibole. This is CaF2. Olivine is orthosilicate, orthorhombic in crystallization. So Al2O3 SiO2 is the composition of aluminous silicate. It is kyanite. Which one of the following corresponds to hardness of muscovite? Low hardness 2 to 3. Chemical composition of corundum Al2O3. Fe2O3 hematite. Mg2SiO3 enstatite. TiO2 rutile. So Al2O3 is corundum. Which one of the following? Which system of crystallization out of the following have minerals exhibit isotropism? We know all the minerals crystallize in cubic system are isotropic under crossed nickel condition. So isometric. So isotropism is a feature of cubic minerals or isotropic minerals, or isometric system minerals are isotropic under cross nickel condition. So they display isotropism. Do you know which sections of tetragonal, which sections of minerals crystallizing tetragonal systems are isotropic? The sections cut perpendicular to optic axis. If this is the optic axis, in case of tetragonal system, these sections which are cut perpendicular to optic axis, if they are viewed under cross-nickel condition, they will behave as if they belong to isometric system. They will be isotropic. But common feature of isotropism is the crystals of isometric system. In allotriomorphic texture of igneous rocks, the shape of grains are usually anhedral. If it is subhedral, it will be hypidomorphic. If it is euhedral, it is panidomorphic. So in case of allotriomorphic texture, we have anhedral grains. Which one of the following is a hypabyssal igneous rock with plagioclase and pyroxene as essential minerals? Plagioclase, pyroxene are essential minerals in basic rock. Basic rock. Basic rock will be gabbro, basic rock will be dolerite. So it is hypabyssal igneous rock. We have gabbro is plutonic. This dolerite is hypabyssal. This is the only rock which is hypabyssal. Anorthosite plutonic. Cyanide plutonic. So this is the only rock which is basic, which contains plagioclase, pyroxene as essential minerals, and it is a hypabyssal igneous rock. The essential mineral composition of charnockite. Charnockite is hyposthene bearing granite. Otherwise, charnockite is called as hyposthene bearing granite. So quartz feldspar is granitic, then hyposthene. So it is hyposthene bearing granite. Which fossil groups out of the following belong to phylum Arthropoda? Arthropoda is represented by trilobites. Brachiopods, phylum Brachiopoda. Pelecypods, gastropods, they belong to phylum Mollusca. So this is phylum Arthropoda. Which out of the following is the thickness of the lamination of sedimentary rocks? For lamination, it should be less than 1 cm thick. So this is the correct answer. Which of the following sedimentary rocks has the very coarse grained diameter angular clast? We have two types of common saphitic rocks. We have saphitic, we have samitic, we have pelitic. This is very coarse grained, this is sand size, this is silt and clay size. So in saphitic rocks we have conglomerate and brachia. These are the two common sedimentary rocks. But in case of conglomerate, we have the grains are bigger in size, but they are having rounded boundary. Outline is rounded because this is made out of grains which have suffered a long distance of transport. But here it has been shown that the grains are angular clasts. Bigger grains, angular clasts. That means they have suffered no long distance of transport because of which their boundary outline is angular. So it will be brachia. Brachia is a saphitic rock. Sandstone, it is a samitic rock. Shale, it is a pelitic rock. Samitic rock. So to which of the following groups is the type area of Kadapa, the Kumbum formation belongs? It belongs to Nalamale group. Papagani chair, Nalamale Kistina. These are the subdivisions of Kadappas. And in Nalamalai, we have the Kumbum cells and Barankoja quartzite. The lowermost formation of Damunda group is Karalbari. We have on the top youngest Ranigans, followed by Baron Majors, then Barakar, then the oldest is Karalbari. In which of the following faults the hanging wall has gone down relative to footwall? We have, this is a type of fault in which the hanging wall has gone down. This is hanging wall. This is footwall. When the hanging wall has gone down with respect to footwall, it will be normal fault. If the hanging wall goes up with respect to footwall, then that is a reverse fault. If hanging wall slides past the footwall, then it is strike slip fault. If the fault plane is vertical, in that case, it is difficult to say which one is hanging wall, which one is footwall. So, in case of inclined bed, inclined fault plane, the block which is over the another block is hanging wall. The block which is below the fault plane is the footwall. So, here when the terms footwall hanging wall arises and footwall is up, hanging wall has gone down related to footwall, it is a normal fault. So, B is the correct answer. In which of the following unconformities the older rock below the unconformed surface is usually of plutonic origin? It is in case of non-conformity, because igneous rock associated with unconformity is the non-conformity. In case of disconformity, we have sedimentary layers which are parallel to each other. Angular nonconformity, we have angular the inclined beds with horizontal beds. Local unconformity, locally it has its importance. So, when you talk about igneous body at the bottom, on the bottom of the unconformity, it is non-conformity. Darcy law is utilized to describe the flow of water, flow rate. So, it describes the the coefficient of permeability. It is not specific rate, it is not specific retention, it is not porosity. Because specific yield plus specific retention will be equal to porosity. And flow rate is described with respect to this Darcy law. So, this is a coefficient of permeability. What is permeability? Permeability is the property which describes how effectively water passes through a medium. It is permeable, then it will allow the passage of water through it. A rock body may be porous, but if it is not permeable, it will not allow the passage of water through it. So, once it is permeable, it is definitely porous. If it is porous, it may or may not be permeable. So, as it involves passage of water, then it must be permeable. So, the coefficient of permeability will be found out from Darcy law. Which one of the following zones in the zone of aeration lie just above the zone of saturation? We have two zones. One is zone of aeration, other is zone of saturation. Saturation takes place below water table. Zone of aeration, zone of saturation. And just above the zone of saturation, we have these pore spaces which act like the capillary tubes. So, water rises in the capillaries to certain height, as we see capillary rise in physics. So, to some extent above the water table, we have a zone which is represented as zone of capillary water, because the pore spaces act as if they are the capillaries. So, this will be zone of capillary water. Then which rock out of the following has a maximum porosity value? Clay. Clay has a maximum porosity, highly porous, but it is not permeable. Sandstone is highly porous and highly permeable. Sand, porous and highly permeable compared to sandstone. Limestone is a sedimentary rock which is found to be porous if it is jointed, if it is cavernous, and so porosity is highest in case of clay. So, clay is the correct answer. In which out of the following localities in India important lignite deposits are found? Lignite is tertiary in origin, tertiary. So, Ney Valley is famous for lignite. Raniganj for Gondwana coal. Ib Valley, Gondwana coal. Jharia, Gondwana coal. So, this is tertiary coal and this is lignite. In which of the following conditions the horizontal tunneling is safer? Tunnel is the underground passage. So, if it will pass through different rock types, then that would be unsafe, unstable. If it will be allowed to pass through one rock body type, that means it will have to pass through strike. And if it is, that means horizontal tunneling. And it must, which is safer? In which out of the following conditions horizontal tunneling is safer? It is not safer in case of fault zone. It is not safer below water table. It is not safer. Running parallel to bedding planes, it may be safer. Tunnel running perpendicular to strike of beds, it is not safer because it will pass through a number of beds. If it is parallel to bedding plane, that means it is parallel to strike of a bed. So this gives a better condition. So horizontal tunneling is safer when it is parallel to bedding planes. Tunneling below water table will not be safe. Tunneling across the fault zone will not be safe. Tunneling running perpendicular to strike of the beds will not be safe. Which one of the following processes is responsible for formation of pressure deposits? We know pressure deposits are a type of mechanical concentration deposits. We have residual concentration and mechanical concentration, which gives rise to mineral deposits. So in case of residual concentration, we have such as bauxite. Magmatic concentration, magmatic deposit. Hydrothermal replacement, Fisher vein type deposit. Lateral vein, Fisher vein, hydrothermal deposits. But when you talk about pressure deposits, it is a case of accumulation of grains through a sedimentation process. The heavier grains are found to accumulate in different places. That's why pressure deposit. And these deposits, they are noted for their high specific gravity and durability to weathering. And they are found to be mechanically concentrated in suitable slopes, suitable localities. It may be found on the base of the mountains, at foothills, in beach pressure, at the meandering rivers, at the site of meanders. So this is case of pressure deposit at different places, based upon their specific gravity, they are sorted out based on their specific gravity and based upon their durability. They are found to be sorted out at different places in case of a geomorphic agent. Or in the coast, we find such deposits. Example, in Odisha context, we can say the heavy mineral deposits of Gopalpur beach. Gopalpur on sea, we have the heavy pressure deposits, and we have the Indian Rare Earths Limited, IRE Limited, is the company which is mining these pressure deposit minerals, these heavy minerals. Which mineral out of the following is not a ore mineral of copper? Chalcopyrite copper CuFeS2, malachite copper carbonate copper hydroxide. Cerussite is Pb carbonate. Bornite is copper iron sulfide. So cerussite, it is layered carbonate. So this is not a mineral of copper. Which rock out of the following is the host rock of bauxite? Khondalite. Khondalite is rich with quartz, feldspar plus garnet plus sillimanite. And bauxite is Al2O3 2H2. So aluminous rich. So garnet aluminous rich, sillimanite aluminous rich, and feldspars break to produce aluminium silicates. So these three, they contribute towards giving rise to aluminum oxide and water. That's why Khondalite is the most suitable host rock for formation of bauxite in case of East Coast bauxite of India. in which of the following areas muscovite deposits are located? Kodarma mica, Pulimentala asbestos, Khetri copper, Salem magnesite. East Coast bauxite deposit. In the East Coast bauxite deposit, bauxite occurs as blanket type. Lateral vein in case of hydrothermal. Banded deposit in case of iron ore, we find banded iron ore deposits. Disseminated process is associated with magmatic process. Bauxite is never found to be produced by magmatic process, so it is blanket type. In which of the following states tertiary coal deposits are located? Tertiary coal is located in the Himalayan regions, so Meghalaya will be the answer. Odisha we have Gondwana coal, West Bengal Gondwana coal, Jharkhand Gondwana coal. So tertiary coal is found in Himalayan region, it is Meghalaya, Sikkim, Jammu Kashmir. So which of the following minerals has chemical composition MnO2? Manganese oxide. We have manganese bearing minerals, brownite, husmanite, brownite Mn2O3, pyrolusite MnO2, silymarin Mn2O3 H2O, rhodochrosite manganese carbonate. So pyrolusite is MnO2. So this is all about our discussion related to the questions which are set in the common PG entrance test conducted by Government of Odisha in order to select the students for the PG seats in all government colleges where PG courses are available and in all the universities coming under Odisha except Central University. My dear students, if you face any problem, you can go through the books and clarify your doubts. But this is the gist that I described, that I discussed relating to each question in a simplified manner. So I think my students will be benefited out of this discussion. Thank you.